Alright, y'all. 2025 might just be one of the most insane years for gaming we've ever seen. And believe me, I don't say that lightly. We've seen stacked years before. 2017 gave us Breath of the Wild, Mario Odyssey, Horizon Zero Dawn, Persona 5 Royal, and Cuphead. Not to mention 2023 where Baldur's Gate 3 came out, along with Tears of the Kingdom, Spider-Man 2, and Alan Wake 2 all in one year. But looking at 2025, this year isn't just stacked. It feels like every single month a Game of the Year contender is waiting to come out. At the time of this recording, the reviews for Hades 2 just dropped and it's currently sitting at a 94 on Metacritic, making it the highest rated new game this year, only behind the Switch 2 versions of Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, some of the greatest games of all time. With September coming to a close, the race for Game of the Year may be unlike anything we've ever seen before. Let's talk about it. But before we go any further, if you find yourself enjoying this video or just want to see more Nintendo content, please consider hitting the like button and subscribing for more. Sam has been pushing me for quite some time to start creating content, and I would really hate to disappoint him. Believe me. You don't want to see him when he's upset. With that said, let's jump in. So why is 2025 so unique? First, there's the sheer variety of genres on display here. We've got fresh perspectives on classic turn-based RPGs, narrative-driven indies, ambitious sequels, and even bold reinventions on Nintendo 3D platformers. Second, we got the surprise of long-awaited sequels such as Hollow Knight Silksong and Hades 2, both of which announced release dates just under 2 weeks out and are delivering beyond what fans expected. And finally, there's the fact that this isn't just a conversation dominated by AAA releases anymore. AA studios and indie developers are putting out titles that stand toe-to-toe with the biggest budget games, and it's shifting the narrative on what it takes to create a successful title in 2025 and beyond. Up until the end of August, there were clear frontrunners, starting with one of my personal biggest surprises of the year, Clear Obscure Expedition 33. This game is a fusion of JRPG storytelling with turn-based combat that incorporates real-time elements such as parries and dodging, and critics have been eating it up. The art direction, tone, and emotion, this package is being hailed as one of the most original games in years, and it's managed to break into the mainstream conversation despite not having the same budget as a higher profile release from a big publisher. In fact, the director spent years working for Ubisoft and is on record saying that it would have taken 2+ decades to get a game like Expedition 33 approved with a large publisher. Then we have Death Stranding 2 on the beach. Love him or hate him, Hideo Kojima knows how to create conversation. The first Death Stranding was divisive, but over time it built a cult following. The sequel expands on the scope, refines the gameplay, and doubles down on Kojima's bizarre cinematic approach. I haven't personally played this one, but I've seen significant praise around the internet, and it's sure to be a giant presence in the Game of the Year conversation. Let's not forget about Nintendo here. They surprised everyone back in April with the announcement of Donkey Kong Bonanza, a full-on 3D return for their original mascot, which released a month after their brand new console. Many fans have been excited to see Nintendo give Donkey Kong the same kind of modern treatment they give Mario time and time again. It's charming, polished, and a lot of fun. But the question is, will just fun be enough to compete with some of this year's narrative heavyweights? Especially considering the fact that some have already written it off because it's not the Mario game they had hoped for. Blueprints is a puzzle-driven roguelite that surprised many reviewers when it dropped earlier this year. It has a surreal aesthetic and consistently shifts its rules as you progress through a mysterious manner where every floor is periodically generated with strange objects and puzzles that force you to think outside of the box. I haven't played it, but it stands as arguably one of the most unique titles on this list, and its passionate fan base make it a strong contender to break through like Disco Elysium and Celeste did in previous years. And finally, let's talk Split Fiction, a co-op story-driven game from the creators of It Takes Two, which previously won Game of the Year. I think this one might fall victim to recency bias, as there was a notable dip in momentum a few weeks post-release, but I don't think we can totally write it off given Hazelight's track record. September surprised us with the release of two highly anticipated sequels that are sure to have a massive impact on the Game of the Year conversation: Hollow Knight Silksong and Hades 2. That's right, Silksong is finally here after years of anticipation, and it's incredible. Team Cherry somehow took everything people loved about Hollow Knight and expanded it into a more ambitious, more vertical, and more intricate adventure. The movement is faster, the combat is more technical, and the world building is just as mysterious and haunting as the first game. This isn't just a sequel, it's an evolution. And despite the difficulty discourse surrounding the game's release, many are already proclaiming this their personal Game of the Year. Then there's Hades 2. Supergiant Games already made history with the first Hades, which became the first video game ever to win a Hugo Award for storytelling. Yes, that's a real thing, look it up. The sequel arrives later today, and it looks just as stylish, addictive, and maybe even deeper than the first. The initial reviews are saying that the roguelike combat is refined, the art is stunning, and the new protagonist, the daughter of Hades this time, brings a fresh perspective to the Greek mythology setting. If these early impressions tell us anything, this may just be the game to beat. What's amazing is that both Hades 2 and Silksong aren't just competing with each other as indie darlings, they're standing shoulder to shoulder with the biggest games in the industry. Just to briefly mention two upcoming games here, The Outer Worlds 2 is coming later this year from Obsidian Entertainment, which gave us beloved games such as Fallout New Vegas. The early previews are praising the game's witty writing and improved RPG systems, and it could sneak in as a last-minute addition to the conversation. Also, Ghost of Yotei is a highly anticipated follow-up to Ghost of Tsushima, which was a Game of the Year nominee itself. It's scheduled for release next week. It promises a fresh take on the open-world action formula, and I wouldn't be surprised to see it rated high enough for strong consideration. Quick update for y'all, while I was making this video, reviews dropped this morning and it's sitting at an 87 on Metacritic. This is obviously an incredible score, but in a year with so many bangers, will it be enough to break through? So we've talked about several contenders, but which game has the best chance of coming out on top? At this point, it may be impossible to predict. A few weeks ago, I thought Clair Obscur Expedition 33 had it in the bag with strong momentum and universal praise from critics. But my gut tells me it's not that simple anymore. Hollow Knight Silksong is currently dominating the conversation, and if the first reviews for Hades 2 are any indication, I feel like many critics are going to have a hard time choosing when it comes time to vote. It's also worth noting that while I've been mostly discussing the Game Awards for this video, most, if not all of these games will receive Game of the Year callouts from various websites and publications when the time comes. And there's no doubt in my mind that all of these titles deserve to be recognized. As someone who is usually outspoken about my favorite games, I'm a little surprised to be torn on my personal choice for the best game this year. At one point, it was Expedition 33 with a bullet. But seeing as my last video was 13 minutes of me gushing about the first Hades game, it may not be so simple anymore. But these have just been some of my quick thoughts. I want to know what you think. Is 2025 the most competitive year ever for Game of the Year? Which game do you think will take it all? Or what will be your personal Game of the Year? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks for taking the time to watch this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you want to see more gaming videos like this one. Remember, do it for Sam. Bye for now.